Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live from our comfy couch here on the outskirts of the internet. This is the Gaming Saloon Reviews for January 26, 2020. With your host, Spaceberg2448, Unwrapped Salon.
Hi.
You know, someone pointed out something very funny related to Mega Man.
What?
You know how those games always take place in 20XX?
Yeah.
What's the Roman numeral for 20?
That is kind of funny.
Yep. Although someone else. Yep. Although someone else pointed out, oh yeah, before you have to fight Yuzora in the KH3 DLC, you have to go up against the organization, the data fights for Organization 13, which means you have to go versus 13 people. Ugh. Yeah, that just made me tired after hearing that. Just made me extremely tired. Anywho, we're talking episodes 5 through 8 of Ghost this week, the November batch of episodes. Oh boy.
Yeah.
So, how are you feeling about these episodes going in?
Meh. I feel like that's just my thought on the show at this point.
That is an accurate description of these episodes, I feel like.
Yeah, it really is. Because, like, the only thing that I can think of that would actually have any merit going forward is the thing that we find out about Makoto. But even then, I have a bad feeling that probably gets rewrote at some point.
For the most part, no. Except for one part. But that's in the V Cinema. So we don't have to worry about it for a long time. You remember how I said the V Cinema is really stupid?
Yeah.
It's really stupid because it decides to retcon a part of Makoto's background to explain a thing about Makoto that happens in the show for some reason, I think. I don't remember the V Cinema. I just remember going, this is extremely dumb. Anyway, any other thoughts before we roll into these 4 episodes?
No.
Alright, we're going to kick things off with episode 5, Shock Mystery Kamen Rider. Not necessarily a mystery because I more or less said who he is at this point.
Well, okay, to this I'm going to say, anyone that's watching that might be aggravated that we said something about that, we both have seen enough of Ghost to be able to know some things that we shouldn't know at this point. So, if you're coming into this blind, sorry, but otherwise, yeah.
Also, there's this weird person that shows up in this episode that is dressed in Spectre colors. I wonder who he could be.
I mean, that too. But, I mean, to be fair, we've kind of also said his name kind of deal.
Yep.
Which that actually doesn't get mentioned until part of the way through the first one that we're touching.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if it was part of the way through the first or if it was in the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, kick off with episode 5. Takuru's down and out. He's going to be that way for several episodes for a little bit. Because, more or less, another rider is showing up and he stole the Nobunaga icon. And I need those to revive. Ah, piss. Akari is also with Takeru downstairs trying to figure out what's going on. And, she asked the obvious person, Gramps, Sage, do you know the answer? And Takeru's like, he's not here. She's like, oh, fucking hell. Granted, he won't answer anyway, even though he knows the answer. Look, Sage is an immense asshole for no reason. You may wonder why if you've not watched this show. Don't worry, we'll get there.
Oh, I think I've pieced enough together to kind of know. But yeah.
I'll put it this way. 90% of our problems right now can be solved by Sage opening his goddamn mouth and actually talking about stuff. That is the short and long of it.
Yeah.
But after getting nowhere, Takeru heads out to mope some more alone in the moonlight. Because we need that shot real quick. I assume for an episode preview.
Probably.
Meanwhile, we check in with Alan and Soichi as they talk about their agreement, which is more or less Soichi helps Alan with whatever his project is that we don't know about just yet, and I don't remember, to be honest.
I don't either. But that doesn't truthfully surprise me.
Yeah, I'm just like, fuck, what was your plan here, Alan? I don't remember. Is it the big plan or a smaller plan that I forgot about? Because I don't remember which. I know there's a bigger plan in play. But in return, Alan is kind of helping Soichi get all of the icons. Because he wants all the icons for the wish. But after they separate, Alan releases more Gamma icons out into the wild, and they go and possess a bunch of people out of school who are going to demolish it and put it in a city hall. That's the case for the week, folks. But we transition to the next day. Makoto drops by the temple real quick to lurk around and to spy on Takeru. As Takeru walks by and is counting something, and he's just like, hello, and walks on while Makoto just stares at him and then leaves. But this is where we get our next case, where a kid more or less has dropped by saying, hey, I want you to investigate whatever keeps happening to the protest from my old school that keep getting shot up and interrupted. Help before someone else gets really hurt. Because my mom also got hurt during this because she's protesting it. Unfortunately, Takeru is more worried about Spectre at the moment. But Onari manages to bring him around, says, this is important. It's the plot of the week. You need to be involved here. Meanwhile, Akari's down in the basement doing research. And Sage is overlooking her, invisible, mind you. And Akari thinks he's there, but doesn't pinpoint him correctly, which I don't know if this was supposed to hint at something or not. And the fact that she maybe senses him, but doesn't know exactly where. Or am I overthinking this?
I don't know. That might have been supposed to be hinting at that because of the fact of, when she's cheering up Takeru later, it also seems to be alluding to, she knows that they're there, even though she can't see them.
Yeah.
So you might be onto something with that.
I don't think this goes anywhere.
Probably not. Because it doesn't feel like it would be something they would try to make it go anywhere, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't think this goes anywhere. Granted, that's the statement I keep having to say about a lot of things in this first part of this is something that will go nowhere. So don't worry about it. Anyway, over to the protest, we see a Genma attack, and Takeru ends up going after it. They fight it out. Takeru pops Newton. It's gravity control more or less means your gun doesn't work on me because I could just throw the bullets back at you. Haha. So
yeah,
the Gamma
gravity beats
decides,
gun.
Yep. So the Gamma decides, well, fuck you, I'm leaving. So he leaves in his car that is being driven by another Genma. How did no one see the car? I don't know.
It's a Gamma car.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we'll just go with that.
Yeah. So Takaru has to call for Yurisen to bring him his bike because I guess Yurisen can just teleport things. So he takes the bike, goes in pursuit. Unfortunately, he is cut off halfway by Spectre with his own bike. This is the last time there is more than one bike in a series. For now. That feels weird to say.
Oh, wow, you're right.
Yeah, because after this, X8 only has Laser, who has to be a character to be important. Build only has the Build bike, which is only ever used in the early episodes, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then, like, Geo has the Right Striker, which is only ever used, I think, literally in, like, within the first 5 episodes, and then it's gone. And now 01 with the Ride Hopper, which has also been only used in the first handful of episodes, and then it's gone. Filming with bikes is expensive.
It must be.
Well, I know, I know the reason that they cut down on the bike filming is because permits to film this kind of stuff, like the bike stuff, got expensive. So it then became a case of, okay, it's either this or, other stuff. And how much do people care about the bike stuff?
Apparently not as much as other stuff.
Yeah. Like, this cuts into more or less, like, either monster designs, form designs, whatever. It's like something has to take the brunt of it to get more bike action. And, well, guess what? We're cutting out on bike action because that's a toy we can skip over. So, yeah, Spectre intervenes, and more or less the theme of these 4 episodes is going to be Spectre shows up and says, "You're fighting me now, damn it."
Pretty much, yeah.
So the two of them bump fenders with the bikes for a little bit until Takaru is knocked off his. And then they get into a fist fight where Spectre pretty much just whoops his ass because I've been doing this longer than you. You have to sit down and shut up. And a duel between Edison and Nobunaga, respectively, unfortunately leads to Takaru being defeated. And Spectre taking the Edison icon. But before we leave, he reveals that, yes, I was the person in leather and with Spectre colors from earlier. You probably should have put that together sooner. And more or less questions Takaru's resolve to fight. And if he's ready to give up his life for someone else. And it's like, you're naive. Goodbye. He just leaves him there. So while Takaru's passed out at the moment in the middle of this little plaza, Makoto comes across Alan, who is glad that Makoto helped out his Gemma friend. But Makoto's just like, fuck you, I don't care. I just want the icons, and just leaves. Even though they are seemingly friends. Spoilers, they are friends. But it's complicated.
Is that their relationship status?
More or less. And this is where Kairi, Onairi, and the kid from earlier find Takaru and try to help him out, but he's more or less in the dumpster at the moment, and no one is helping him get out of it. Like, for fuck's sakes. You all remember he is slowly dying unless we get that wish, right? Like, he has a finite number of days left to live. Can you at least help his confidence some?
Nope.
So after, like, nobody helping him, especially the kid, who's just like, you're not helping, man, leaves. Takaru ends up leaving and heading back to the school, where he ends up finding out, oh, yeah, the people in charge of this demolition are possessed by the Gemma. And he transforms, exercises the Gamma, blows them up. Because he can just draw the eye symbol that he keeps drawing for all of the Parka ghosts to just pull them out. Apparently, that's just a ghost hunter thing.
Either that or it's the global eye, I guess you could say.
Yeah. But while he's blowing them up, the main one soon arrives, and Takaru fights with him until Inari Nakairi, who arrived during this fight, end up captured. This will be first time for them. So now they're being held hostage, so Takaru can't use Newton, and has to just take a few bullets to the chest, which won't kill him, mind you, but will hurt. But this is when Makoto arrives, and he transforms, goes after Takaru for his icons, but is interrupted by the Genba, so he decides, well, fuck you, and proceeds to blow him up and his goons. Because he also reveals, oh yeah, I also have the Tutankhamun icon that he got pre-series. I don't know how long Makoto's been active as a writer before the series started.
Yeah, I don't think it ever goes into that either, does it?
No. We just know he had, like, the only icon we see him get on screen is Nobunaga's. The other two icons that are his, he got before we met him. Which there's a funny little note about that other icon we'll get to in a little bit. So yeah, with a Tut in hand, Makoto just mops up again for the week. He takes Newton and pretty much forces Takaru to dual rider kicks with him, which Takaru ends up on the worst end for, but it did give him the opportunity to yoink Newton out of Makoto's hand somehow. I guess when they passed by, he yoinked it. So with some assistance from Inari Nakairi, Makoto decides, fine, I'll leave. I already got one of your icons today. You can have that one for now. Bye. So this is where Alan and Makoto meet up once more, but we find out from Alan, it's like, yeah, we already got done what we wanted to get done there, as we see the Genma eye symbol on that location. But the case has been solved, but Takaru's still down, and he goes to his father's grave to collect himself. And also, he can just put up barriers, apparently. That's a thing that never comes up again, I think. Like, how did you put up a... How does that work?
Very carefully.
Apparently. Which moves us to episode 6, Destiny, Reviving Melody. We kick off with Sage talking to Takaru, pretty much telling him, by the way, Beethoven's the next icon. Which Takaru's like, cool, and proceeds to, like, note it in his, planner, because he got himself a planner to track how many days it is till I'm dead for good again.
I mean, kind of a depressing planner, but in light of his mindset right now, I can completely understand.
It's a positive. Unfortunately, Sage pretty much dumpsters it, literally in this case, because it's like, you don't need that. Why will no one support him?
Because it's not Sage's job.
I mean, everyone but... Why will no one besides Akiri support him? Because Akiri is the only one that's actually supporting him in any meaningful way. . Like, what the
reasons.
fuck? Yeah. So yeah, when Akari drops by, Takaru is unfortunately still invisible because he's like major in the dumps. So even the gold dust that Akari's manufactured to make Ghost visible won't work on him for long, and he just poofs back into invisibility. But we do have a new case to worry about because at a music school, a student's brother has apparently been obsessed with his work. And also, for some reason, the sound just gets muted at certain points. And it's very strange. So our team's off to investigate it. But between the Genma taking out the sound and the music connection, Takaru, who's listening to this entire conversation while invisible, manages to pop back into visibility going, Beethoven! It's Beethoven! This is the connection to Beethoven! We need to go get Beethoven! Because Takaru, I feel like partially realizing what's going to happen and partially reading the script goes, fuck, I need to get this done really fast, otherwise Makoto will show up and kick my ass. Again.
And again.
So I gotta do this now. They go see the brother, who is practicing, and more or less he gives the spiel of, I don't care about my life, I care about my work. My work means everything, it's important and stuff. So more or less that's not helping Takaru, seeing someone like not value their life. So Akari has to step in and be the one with all the hero speeches this week. And trying to get this guy to realize, dumbass, you're being an asshole. Stop it. But when the sound goes out again, this prompts Onari and Akari to reveal again, so Takaru can fight it. While the sound's muted, and the only audio we hear is actually the Genma, which is a really nice touch.
That we don't actually get all that much.
The only other time I can think about offhand is the big confrontation between, at the time, Sento and Stark, leading in the Sparking's debut. Because they do their transformation in the rain in the alleyway.
Oh,
and we only,
yeah,
we only hear them henshin, and we just have an angle that's just like looking down the alleyway as we just hear the rain pouring down on them. We don't hear either of their transformations before we smash cut into the fight. It's the only other time I can think they've done something like really neat like that, audio-wise. But yeah, with the sound out, Takaru can't keep track of the Genma. So he gets his butt whooped. But he does bounce back, tries to fight him off real quick, only for Makoto to just walk on set and just be like, hi, I'm here to fight you. Get over here. So now Takaru has to fight Makoto again. And he proceeds to get his ass kicked again, this time by Edison. He ends up dropping the Musashi icon, and Makoto more or less just scares him away after he drops him out of his transformation. So Makoto has a chance to claim yet another icon, and worst of all, it's more or less Takaru's main heroic icon. But Akari, who's nearby, takes it and won't give it up, even under the threat of being blown up or electrocuted or whatever Makoto was planning when he pointed his weapon at her. Which we haven't talked about his really dumb big weapon. How do you like his big dumb gun slash I can't even think of what it is, like the extension stick thing to grab stuff off the top shelf.
I mean,
His big.
It is kind of over the top.
Yeah. His big slap you gun hand.
Yeah, it is kind of over the top.
Yeah. Yeah, Kairi taking it and refusing to give it up more or less prompts Makoto to just leave. So, once more, given the chance to get another icon, says no. So, he's not all bad.
Yeah, not all bad.
Yeah. But we check in back in with the brother real quick as he finishes his orchestral piece. But unfortunately, he's convinced by the Gamma that, yeah, you'll be famous like Beethoven after you're dead. So he's off to go commit suicide. Just going to put that on the table.
Like any person would.
Yep.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we check in with Makoto real quick as we see him talking to a Genma icon. That is his sister. His sister is trapped in a Genma icon. His wish is to revive her. But this is when Alan drops by. Makoto gives him the Edison icon to study for his project. We'll get to that in 2 weeks, essentially. He tells him to return it when he's done. And this is where we head back over to the temple. The current team, minus Takaru at the moment because he's missing. Also, the brother's missing as well because he ran out, and Onari and his sister don't know where he went. Kairi does head out to go look for Takaru. Kind of figuring where he is because he's just hiding under the temple. She ends up talking to him, or at least she assumes she's talking to him because she doesn't know he's there. Because she points, is like, "You're over there," even though he's right in front of her. But Talk manages to bounce Takaru back because she kind of admits, it's like, yeah, this is a whole bunch of crazy shit going on and whatnot, but I still kind of believe in you. So, well, everything will be fine eventually. But unfortunately, this is interrupted by our good mailman friend, our supporting cast member, the local mailman. More or less going, yeah, some guy's threatening to jump off a building nearby. It also is coincidentally your brother, thankfully.
I love how he just casually is like, hey, did you hear about that guy fixing to commit suicide?
Yeah.
Like, yep. Way to be casual about that. Way to be super casual.
Yep. So the team heads out. Takaru is following them, or is with them, but is invisible, so he's not very helpful at the moment. So it's up to Kairi to make the hero speech to get him to come off the ledge. But unfortunately, the ritual that the Gamma use kicks in anyway, so Takaru has to do the thing that doesn't matter later to end up saving him. But this prompts the good way of getting it without trading someone's life. So Takaru ends up getting Beethoven, like normal. While Makoto, who's nearby, who's watched this entire scene, is like, I'll let this one slide. So he just kind of leaves. So with Beethoven in hand, and I will admit, I really like Beethoven's transformation. The fact that they work in the da-da-da-da from one of his songs, it's just like, yes, 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 this is the kind of dumb I go for Ryder. Yes. And also, his coat is more or less a giant piano. Unfortunately, Beethoven doesn't get used that much. Yeah, with Beethoven's help, he silences the Genma and then blows him up with Musashi. So that's the Genma done for the week. We check in with Makoto real quick before the end of the episode. Pretty much saying, Takaru can have the win today because I'm going to take all the icons away from him anyway, so but the case is solved, the siblings are better off, and everybody has a good laugh. And gets to enjoy the win for once. So, how are you feeling about these two episodes that are not connected to each other, really, outside of Takeru's mental state, really.
I mean, I guess I feel like it could have been handled a little better.
Yeah.
But I guess at the same time, it is kind of a good thing to see the turmoil that he's kind of encountered.
Yeah. Now that he's met like a more offensive direct opposition to him getting the icons.
Yeah. And I'd say now that it's more of a it's opened his eyes too that I might not get revived. I might actually be dead. Because apparently I'm not the only one going for these. Like I said though, I feel like it could have been handled a little better too. It was one of those, oh, you're down, let's kick you some more.
Yeah.
Let's
I can already
kick you
hear
until you break.
Yeah, I can already hear being the only person who's actually trying to get Takeru to bounce back, because that's what he needs more than anything, is for someone to go, no, it will be fine, you will revive, do not continue down this downward spiral, that's the problem. But otherwise, like, these are fine. Nothing too spectacular outside of Beethoven.
Yeah, they're on that meh scale.
Yeah. But this will take us to episode 7, Fast Shooting Legendary Gunman. We check in with Saionji real quick as he's visiting Takeru's father, Ryu, his grave, saying he will do better than him. And he passes Makoto, who also visits the grave. And this prompts him to go, maybe I might be able to use you. Meanwhile, Takeru is having a dream where he meets up with his father at the monolith, saying that he will revive, more or less, like reasserting his motivation at the moment. Also, by the way, I think at this point we get the opening reflects Movie Tyson Genesis, which is probably why his father showed up like this again, because, hey, we got to promote the movie. This guy's here in the movie.
Very true.
But this prompts Takeru to go do some training on his swordplay. So when Nakari drops by, they get to talk about their missing friends, Makoto and his sister Kanon. It's already been spoiled, but yeah, Makoto is Spectre, Kanon is the icon at the moment. But they apparently disappeared.
Spoil was kind of a little overstatement there too, kind of deal, because at this point you pretty much have everything except name.
Yep. You pretty much have everything except somebody's name at this point. I was also trying to think of, like, I don't think you get Kanon's name until, like, the second episode here.
I think you're right.
But they apparently disappeared like 10 years ago, and they have no idea where they went. But this is where Takeru heads back downstairs and sees that Sage left him a couple new toys. More or less the Bat Clock and the Spider Lantern. They will be important for the next 2 episodes. And there's also a note saying that, by the way, Billy the Kid's the next icon. Don't ask me why they keep being in numerical order. Don't worry about it. Because just for reference, all of the heroic icons are numbered 1 through 15. All of the ones Takeru has gotten so far have been in numerical order outside of Edison. And even then, they have also debuted in numerical order. It's totally not suspicious.
Totally not at all.
But yeah, with note in hand, Akari drops by to have the this is the heroic person we're dealing with this week segment. Also, we're gonna put the note up on this bulletin, up on this whiteboard with magnets that are totally not the promotional items for the movie. Because there's Ghost, and there's this other person we don't know yet, supposedly. Unfortunately, my pet peeve got triggered because I'm just like, why is this in the context of the show? Why? You have segments out of the context of the show where the cast interact with these items. You don't need this in the show itself. Stop it. Anyway, this is where we get the next case for us that actually will be two-parters this time. Where a guy comes in saying, hey, my best friend's back in town and he's acting weird and he's not responding to some secret handshake thing we have. And also, whenever I try to follow him, I keep getting blown away or getting knocked in the head by a tree. Can you help? Also, as this is happening to everybody in his apartment building, I probably should have called the cops at this point, but I'm going to go to this weird paranormal investigation group.
Because reasons?
Yeah, more or less. But this is when our other two monks that you might not have seen for several episodes if you're watching with us because they're not important enough for me to mention until now. Literally. They might have appeared between now and then, but I don't think they have any important roles. But they're more or less going, oh, hey, by the way, that person that keeps handing out all this shit for all this Ganma-related stuff, we know where he's going to be next. So Takaru has to split the group up with Akari and Anari taking the new toys and going to track down Sayonji, while Takaru goes with the guy who brought in the case. But following Takaru for now, him and the guy bond over their missing friends. But they end up seeing this guy's friend, and the guy blows him off in a very robotic drone-like fashion. Which, I don't know why this guy's acting like a drone when he's not, as we will see later. Like, I don't know why the twist part of this happens in hindsight.
No reason, actually, I'm sure.
Probably. But we see the entire apartment building is also like this, so that means something's up. Most likely the Genma are controlling all these people. So Takaru goes to transform, only to be knocked away by our bee Genma for the week, who is, in fact, yes, a queen bee. But Takaru does get to transform, fights the queen bee for a little bit, until once more Makoto arrives, becomes Spectre, fights Takaru. Again, you can see how this pattern usually goes for the two of them. Don't worry, this will keep happening for a while. But the two of them duel once more. This time Takaru actually comes out on top. So, yay, Takaru finally got a win. If only Arto can be so lucky. Because he's been getting the shit kicked out of him by Bowser and stuff every week so far in 01.
Yeah.
Which someone did point out, just like, we have not really gotten to see that much of Shining Assault Hopper, like, really good in action because of this. It probably didn't help that it was a really hard string of upgrades / new riders right there to promote. Because we more or less went from Assault Wolf and the Shining Assault Hopper into Thouser over the course of, like, I think 5 episodes. But yeah, this defeat prompts Makoto to leave for now. But when Takaru meets up with the guy, he finds out that everyone in the apartment is gone. So Takaru now has to go bouncing around town to find where everybody the fuck went. But we check in with Makoto real quick as he's pondering on the fight because Takaru said a thing that he said to him a long time ago. Until Sayonji arrives to more or less go, hey, you're those people that disappeared 10 years ago, weren't you? In that experiment with the monolith that's in the basement of the temple, right? Right? Okay, just confirming that. Goodbye. No real new information that you haven't probably already pieced together at this point. Just Sayonji confirming the information for himself. Also, Takaru's father is involved in this experiment. And I'll just put this out there because it's only really relevant, I believe, to the movie. But Makoto's father is also involved in those experiments. But Makoto's father is only relevant to the fucking movie. It only shows up in the movie. So make of that what you will. Also, give me 1 second. I gotta let the dog out. Alright, I'm back.
Alright.
But Sayonji more or less leaves after he gets threatened by Makoto. So we more or less at this point find out from Makoto is like, yeah, he's gonna use the wish to revive Kamen because she's stuck in the icon. Meanwhile, we check in with Inari and Kairi as they see Sayonji now use his half-finished Ghost Driver that's in the bottom of his bag to get himself the Billy the Kid icon. They end up following him after he leaves this old guy who really likes Western stuff store. It's so weird. Just to be like, this one person who really likes the Western stuff for some reason. Just randomly. But checking back in with Makoto, he gets Edison from Alan. And he wants some answers on who Sayonji is, but more or less gets nothing. Back over with Inari Nakari after following Sayonji. And actually, smartly enough, checking for Genma along the way. They kind of just stumble their way into getting the Billy the Kid icon with the assistance of the new toys and get out before the Genma catch them. That won't last long. But back over with Takaru, he has managed to find the people from the apartment building and sees that there's these little bugs on them. So one of the only times I think he ever does it, he uses his sword outside of his rider form, which is something I think only Haruto ever does.
Think you're right?
Yes. At least at phase 2. It's one of those weird things of like, character uses weapon outside of rider form. It's so rare, but I kind of like it. But he cuts down all the bugs, freeing all the people, except for the guy's friend, who's at the back of the group and apparently not controlled by the bugs because he books it after this. But the Genma's nearby, so Takaru ends up having to fight it. And unfortunately, the Takaru, yes. The Genma can split apart into a swarm state. So don't really have a good offensive tool against that. Until Akari and Inari drop by with Billy the Kid. and pass it off to Takaru so he can go into the Billy Kid form. So now he has 2 guns because the back clock can turn into a gun. But because
reasons.
Look, Takaru needs to have at least 7 weapons on him by the time we get to the end of the series. 7 distinct weapons. Don't ask why. It's just we'll get there.
Did someone from Bungie write this? 7?
No.
Ah.
No. Unfortunately not.
Probably would have been better, actually.
Maybe. Depends. Do we want to count current Destiny in that conversation? Because I feel like if it was, there'd be a lot of teases that take forever to pay off.
True. But
yeah,
at least
the 2
they
guns
pay off.
Yeah. But anyway, the 2 guns managed to blow up the swarm form and drop the Genma back into her main form. And Takaru combines the 2 of them into, from the icon symbol, a shotgun. I'm going to call it a shotgun. It's a shotgun. Even though Takaru calls it a rifle, it's a shotgun. But the weapon blows up the Genma. Eventually, Akari and Airi are taken away by the Genma from Saionji at the moment. And before Takaru can give chase, the swarm of bugs revive and hijack a bulldozer and turn it into a giant bug bulldozer monster thing that Takaru now has to deal with his Iguana Striker. That is probably the last time we're going to see the Iguana Striker until the movie, I think. I don't remember. I distinctly remember it being in the movie because the Necroms in that movie have Iguana Strikers of their own for some reason. But that finally takes us to episode 8. Activate another monolith. Takaru, with the Iguana Striker, manages to make quick work of our bug bulldozer thing and blow it up. So Takaru now has to try to figure out where Kairi and Dari went because he had no sign of where they went. But apparently the back clock can show Takaru where they've been. So he just heads there hoping that they're there. This is where we see Saionji, who has Kairi and Dari tied up. He tries to put 2 gamma icons in them to try to take control of them. I assume to make it easier to get Takaru's icons. That might work. Maybe.
I mean, that's better than not trying.
Yeah, but I'm assuming Takaru would A, probably recognize that they're controlled at this point, and B, has a really easy means of getting them out of the control. So I don't know if it actually would work that well. Especially since Takaru has dealt with that several times now.
True.
But anyway, don't have to worry about that because Takaru manages to make it time, blows up the Genma guard into place, blows up the 2 icons before they get into the 2 of them, and frees them, only for the 2 of them to immediately start arguing over one of them being probably actually being under control. Except they're not, and Takaru can't tell them because he's A, still transformed, and B, means he's automatically invisible. I don't know why he just doesn't bonk the 2 of them on the heads with his sword real quick, just to be like, knock it off, you 2, please. Please. Please stop. This is supposed to be the wrap-up of the episode. But back over to Makoto, we see all the icons he has on him. He's got 4, so Nobunaga, Tutankhamun, the Stolen Edison, and what is supposed to be Houdini, except it's not Houdini. I think it's just a spray-painted Newton. I forget which one it's actually supposed to be. But it's not actually Houdini, which I find is weird. considering what happens directly after the scene. Or what we see directly after this scene. Oh no, it's a Newton icon. Or it's just another Newton icon, actually. It's not anything spray paint, it's just a regular Newton icon. The stand-in for Houdini, because they don't have Houdini, but Houdini's just a normal icon, so I don't know why they need the stand-in. But yeah, this is where Saionji drops by once more to tell him, by the way, Ryu is the one responsible for what happened to you 10 years ago. I'm totally not passing blame onto the person who can't tell you no, that's wrong, because he's dead. And I'm totally not doing this for my own reasons.
Yeah, totally.
Yep. But this more or less sets off Makoto, so he leaves to go find Takaru. And Saionji more or less reveals at this point, hey, I've got 5 other icons, which means we're only down to 1 icon unaccounted for. For reference, the 5 he has going from left to right in that scene, I guess, are Sanzo, Ryoma, Himiko, Grim, Sanzo.
Huh.
Or no, Goemon. My bad. Goemon, Ryoma, Himiko, Sanzo. Or Himiko, Grim, Sanzo. And all those are correct. All those are those actual icons. So I don't know why they didn't have an actual Houdini icon for Makoto to wield in this scene for 5 seconds. Unless that piece of trivia is wrong and that's actually Houdini. So yeah, we're down to 1 icon not being on the table. Spoilers, it's Benkei. We'll get to it next week. Its weapon mode is dumb.
Because of course it is.
Yep. But we're back in the temple with the team as they start to have the normal wrap-up scene that we normally have at the end of the episode, but we're only halfway through the episode. But this is when the guy arrives from earlier saying, yeah, my friend's still missing. You gotta help me find him. And they're like, shit, we thought it was over. Let's go find him real quick. So they all split up to go find him. And they've narrowed it down to him being in this old factory. They don't know why. They just know him and a bunch of other people have been going to this old factory. So Takaru's ready to go handle this, except Makoto now arrives once more to intervene, causing Takaru to have to deal with him while the guy runs off to the factory. And this is where Takaru finds out, yes, the guy that's been fighting you is in fact your old friend from 10 years ago, and he is not in the mood to answer questions. Just like he was at the start of these 4 episodes. Real turn of events, I know. So the two of them fight, and it's more or less a one-sided affair as Makoto beats the shit out of Takaru because he's pissed and not in the mood. And Takaru only manages to get away without losing any icons, or the rest of his life, I guess, by using Newton to build a wall of used or abandoned cars because they're in a junkyard. To more or less take the finisher so he can run. So, of course, Makoto is pissed about this, and Alan, who's seen all this, makes a quick note of like, this pisses off Makoto. I might make use of this later. But this is when we check in with the gang, which is Onari, Akari, and the other 2 monk people that I can't remember the name of, and I'm not going to bother looking them up at this point, because I'll just forget again. But they see the guy's friend and a bunch of other people working on a monolith of sorts, much like the ghost one, except not as like stone based. It looks more techy, I think. We only get to see it in like one. Yeah, we only get to see
Maybe.
him like one shot, and it's like blown up almost immediately after this. But they spot the guy trying to talk to his friend, and this more or less just gets him into trouble and gets him almost killed by the Genma. But Takaru manages to arrive in time, save the guy, exorcise the Genma from his friend, so they're both good. So Takaru's fighting the Queen Genma again, because it did not die last time. But thankfully, he's got the Spider Lantern this time, and that webs it up to lock it down, so the Billy finisher will actually work this time. So it goes boom, but unfortunately, when it goes boom, the stuff they were working on also goes boom as well. So the monolith and whatever research data that was there is destroyed, leaving us with, unfortunately, no answers.
Again.
Yep.
Almost
So we wrap
like
up.
it's a common theme with this show.
More or less. Yeah, case is wrapped up. The two friends are happy. They do their secret handshake thing. The guy tells Takaru, I hope you fit to find your friend. And Takaru's like, yeah.
It's complicated.
Yeah, but this is when Yurisen pops up to tell him randomly, by the way, if a Genma possesses a person for longer than 99 days, that person is more or less dead. I don't remember if this matters. I don't think it matters.
It probably doesn't, but at the same time, it almost makes you, at this point, question more if Takaru's actually dead and not just possessed by, say, a neutral Ganma.
I thought they were hinting at like Kanon possessing Makoto. I thought that was what they were hinting at. Because like we end the episode with Kanon, where we're like with Takaru informing the others who Spectre is, and then the episode actually ends on Kanon telling Makoto something about her situation and being like, Makoto's like, I will revive you with the icons, and Kanon's like, well, and we don't hear the rest of the conversation. I'm like, are you trying to hint that Kanon is a Genma in possessing Makoto? I don't, because that's not it. I know that's not it.
Like I said, it almost seemed like they drew too much of a parallel to Takaru's situation, so that was kind of what I felt like to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Which
I don't know.
I think that could be a unique thing, if that was the way it was done.
To be fair, it wouldn't be the first time we've had a rider possessed by a neutral monster of the enemy faction.
And I mean, you think about it, truthfully, that would make sense, and that would also mean that he was technically Ghost from the moment that he touched the icon.
Yeah. Because that's more or less Deno in a sense.
So it's one of those that I wonder if that was the idea, and then maybe they abandoned the idea part of the way through.
I would not be surprised. Like I said, there's a lot of things in this early parts that don't matter, and they go nowhere.
Well, the reason I kind of say that is because spoilers for what is going to be coming up, but the fact that Boost resets it.
And I gotta think about that when we get to it.
Oh, there's multiple things about that.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I say spoilers is because we get to not only see one, but two births of Boost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's problems. Not just with the fact that it comes to creation twice. The fact of the means of its creation is vastly different.
Yeah.
But yeah, that the whole thing with Boost resetting his counter, which like I said, we'll kind of get to that later, so yeah, spoiler there, but I feel like that was the point they just completely abandoned that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that was an idea that they threw out there with that line for the reason of they could do that, but then they also felt like, okay, we're gonna have all 15 icons. We're gonna have that, at least in play, we're gonna have to have a way to pause that time jump.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I get it. The 99 days, I believe, also played into the episode releases. Kind of.
Yeah, because
I think there was a point where it screwed it up, but it fixed itself too, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably.
Because I think when it was airing, you and me realized that. Like it was off a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
But then they've managed to fix that too. So it's one of those, it's like, okay.
I'll be honest, I have not kept track of the days at all.
It's one of those, truthfully, that's something that could have been dropped in all seriousness. Because if we didn't have that kind of a setup, it would be like pretty much all the other shows where you don't really know exact dates for stuff.
Yeah.
It just all kind of flows together.
Yeah.
And I think if they did that, the whole series could have took the 99 days if needed to be.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I don't think it should have done that. I think by the halfway point, we should done be out of that and moving to the next thing.
Oh, I honestly have a thing. Considering
we burned the first 99 really early, and I'm like, ooh.
Mm-hmm. It's like, I'll be honest, I got a thing about Boost's introduction and how it deals with the whole fucking 99-day situation that I'm just like, it is obvious you did not know what you were doing with this, so I don't know why it's still here. And I also have a thing about Grateful's like introduction that I'm like, you didn't need to do it this way. You could have just done it another way, considering there's a thing about the icons we've seen so far. Why didn't you just do it this way? Also, considering the naming scheme of Grateful's driver. But anyway, that's for the future.
Yeah. Goes the show of problems.
The show of, wow, you should have just stopped here. Why did you pick the worst option of the options you had? But anyway, how'd you feel about these two episodes? Since we talked about everything but these two episodes.
I mean, I guess it worked good to kind of bring everyone into the same page with Spectre's start of a backstory, I guess you could say.
Yeah. We've started it, but we're not getting the whole picture just yet. I don't think we get the whole picture until after we've dealt with the 99 days in Boost at this point.
I think you're right. But, yeah, I mean, outside of that, I honestly just felt meh with all 4 of these episodes, so I'm like, wrong person. Like, I don't even think it's because I've seen it before. I think it's just actually the start of Ghost is kind of on the meh side.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I feel that way too. I'm like, I went back, it was Sentai, not Rider, but I went back to shows recently that I've watched before, and I still enjoy them on a second watch. So I'm like, I know it's not that. I think it's just because I know where this show goes. I know a lot of the stuff in this initial part doesn't matter. Even one part we will get to next week extremely doesn't matter somehow, because it's not that way. And I will put it on the table here just to tell you, yes, what you thought happened did not happen.
I think with me, it's not a case of knowing stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's a case of I feel like it was just poorly executed.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's good ideas there. It's just their execution on said ideas is a problem.
Yeah, and character work is not the strongest at the moment.
It's like they've got so many ideas running, but no one had the guts to pull the trigger on anything, and it's like,
Yeah.
Because, like I said, that whole comment about if a Ganma possesses someone for 99 days, then they might as well be dead. I feel like that should have been parallel in Takaru's situation, and should have been that point that was like, wait, is that what's happening to me?
Yeah.
Not, we just throw that one line in there and never come back to it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually had forgot about that until we went through this, and then it's like, oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah, the character work's not strong for me either, because it's just like, oh yeah, look at all these interesting characters. I'm once were reminded of like, wow, I really like Takaru and everything but his own show.
Yeah, because they kind of, do Ghost better outside of the main show, which is weird.
Yeah. But anything else?
No.
All right. A bit on the shorter side for the podcast this week.
Yeah.
But next week, we are actually going to be through the 99 days, I believe, and into Boost.
Case in point, why I said about it feels like it was somewhat rushed.
Yeah, but yeah, we're going to be through the whole 99 days, the whole 15 icons gathering, the wish, even, and ending on Boost's debut.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, we are
realize
ending.
it was that close, but that actually makes sense because
It's the December batch of episodes.
and I'm wanting to say, I'm looking to see, but I'm wanting to say, but isn't that continuity wise supposed to go between 12 and 13, the movie?
Assuming everything
as close as you can.
Okay, assuming everything wasn't fucked, it's actually 11-12.
11, 12.
Yes.
Okay.
Which, is weird because it's taking place during the whole time period where Takaru's kind of accepted he's dying, so... About that. Characterization doesn't match up. But officially now, because of the Ghost novel, it is retconned as an alternate timeline. So any conversation of continuity is just thrown out the door at that point because the novel's retconned it. And the Drive novel has double retconned it because, yeah, the wedding that takes place at the end of the movie, no, it took place here. Which is why I keep having the joke of Tamari and Kiriko have been married twice. Or they've had 2 weddings. For no reason other than they have 2 weddings. Because continuity got fucked. But anyway, if you like what you've seen, drop us a follow. We really appreciate it. Chipping away that follower goal. At TG Saloon on Twitter will get you updates on when we go live. At exclamation point Discord in chat, we'll get you the Discord link. Drop by, drop us some questions. We'll answer them here. Or on the other podcast. Who knows? We'll find out when someone decides to actually ask us questions. But anywho, that'll do it for me and for Tommy. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week for more ghosts.